Hello and welcome back, everybody, as we're preparing for our second series of the day here on the Face It TV Twitch channel. Make sure you also have the Academy channel pulled up, just as a quick reminder. Next up on the docket, CLG Academy versus Golden Guardians Academy. Another really exciting match here, not because it's who's going to be rising up in the standings, but who's going to be fighting for the top, because CLG currently hold that spot, but Cubby, Golden Guardians Academy are not too far behind.
I think that GG, like last week, it was kind of awkward because their past week, they got 3-0'd by 100 Next. And then they came back roaring in Academy with the most dominant 2-0 we've seen against C9, who had 1 day of practice. They were very off that day.
Yeah.
But GG still destroyed them. And then they had a split with FlyQuest. So it was actually a 3-1 week for Golden Guardians. And we're starting to see them climb up in the standings. I think we're starting to see a few better looks from them overall. And my big issue with them going into that week was, what is your team identity? I felt like they had 3 comps that could play pretty well. That could all be banned away from them. I think that Golden Guardians are starting to formulate that a little bit more as they move forward. And a lot of that's been revolving around Ryoma being on roamers and Stixay being the big carry.
And the thing about Highlight and Stixay is still the only team or roster that doesn't have the full 5 starters is Golden Guardians Academy. It is meant to be Violet going into the year. Stixay is still holding this spot right now, the best coach that we have in the league currently. And yeah, his stats are kind of crazy, especially after that Cloud9 series. But a lot of different carries, I think, are possible for this Golden Guardians Academy roster. But Rafa, now I want to talk about CLG Academy, their opponents on the Rift today, because they do have their roster together now. Finally, everything's coming together for CLG.
That's right. Now, this does deny the coach versus coach and Devontae versus Stixay, but it's okay because CLG definitely want their full starting roster anyway, and they have been waiting on Triple for a very, very long time. You know, Visa Hell is real, folks, and it's been a struggle, but now that he's finally here, this roster can play to its full strength, and not to take anything away from Palafox or Demonte, because they have definitely been great and just
Team's
servicing what the team has needed. The team is still in first place. They've only now, lost their series against 100 Thieves Academy, but still, CLG, definitely one of the top teams here, and it's all off of the back of Rosethorn looking so damn refreshed. And I mean, when we talk about junglers who have had a resurgence this year, Rosethorn is one of the big ones.
I don't think it's possible to oversell Rosethorn at this point. Based on expectations coming into the year and performance on the year, I think that this is the biggest, stretch that I've seen for myself personally. I didn't come into this year thinking, oh, Rosethorn's going to be a bottom jungler by any means, but he's making an argument that he's towards the top right now, Cubby.
And I think that this is important for the side of CLG because when we look at their LCS roster, I don't want to overreact. It's only 1 week into the season, but Contracts didn't put up his best performance. And we have faith that Contracts will improve as the season goes on. But for CLG, if that's something that continues, I think it's really important that Rosethorn is playing as good as he is at the moment. And he has been one of the best junglers that we have in Academy. Now, that 2-0, or 0-2, I should say, against 100 Thieves Academy, I'm curious to see how CLG rebounds from that, because I think that was something that was a little bit unexpected in their camp. But yeah, we can just roll a couple of the highlights that we do have for Rosethorn. This Lee Sin kick was ridiculous. He also netted the win on the Rek'Sai, which no one else has played or won on. And I think it really speaks to Rosethorn leading into him wanting to be aggressive. He is someone that wants to do something on the third wave, proactive. His team's been playing around that really well, and CLG has found their success by playing with their solo lanes and using the priority they have to make leads on the map happen incredibly well.
I mean, we can look at Cloud9 Malice. He's playing the scalers. We just heard from Diamond. Yuji's playing the carries. I'd say Rosethorn is playing those early game aggressive junglers. He's making things happen very early into the game, and that is giving CLG a lot of room to work with then as they're looking towards the more mid-stage transition, Rafa. And we just had to play that one twice. I mean, that kick is so slick.
It's too good, man. I mean, the fact that was week 1 of Academy, and it came from an unlikely player that we were looking to hype up. I mean, that Team Liquid Academy, CLG Academy matchup, completely Team Liquid Academy favored. They even had Bjergsid stepping down to fill in as they were still waiting on Harry to get his visa, and the CLG pulled that off. Looked so damn good on the opening, and that's what has really started their trajectory of their overall dominance in Academy. And I think there's just a pattern overall, Kingus, that we're learning in the Academy ecosystem, a lot of these players, you called most of them, mostly junglers here, Malice, Yuji, now Rosethorn. There's still other junglers that we haven't named yet, but whenever teams play to their comfort style, what they made a name for themselves on, whether it's on the solo queue ladder or what's just kind of innate nature for them, then these teams really get a chance to succeed. And it's so beneficial when the rest of the pieces who are more experienced players can facilitate that. They can change a little bit of their comfort and their playstyle and adapt to allow these players in particular to flourish.
And there we can see in the stats reflected 73.8% kill participation shows just how much Rosethorn is getting done for CLG Academy in terms of being that enabler, being that engager, that person who's going to make things happen on the Rift. And again, framing this from the perspective of Dokla in the top lane, Prismal, very hyped AD carry in the bot lane too, so it makes it that much more impressive that Rosethorn is standing out in a relatively stacked roster, because Cubby, even earlier in the season, you've mentioned CLG Academy was one of those teams that you were looking at as like, these could be subs for the LCS team. Like, a lot of these players do have a potential to overlap.
It's funny that you mention that, because I feel the same way about Golden Guardians roster as well. I think that these two rosters, more than any that we have in Academy, there isn't a single player in this game that has yet to play a split of Academy. The only person that fits that bill is Stixay. So I don't really count that. But I think that the approach that both of these organizations took to their builds from top to bottom, and especially their Academy roster, this is very much rosters that we expected to be better in spring, given the fact these players have had more experience, given the fact that some of these players have consistently played in LCS before. Looking at Golden Guardians, I mean, Iconic, Stixay, Chime, Ryoma, all four of these players have played a split of LCS. But CLG, they've been the ones that are really crushing in this early season. And I know that we'll talk more as we are getting closer to draft, but I really want to harp on these early games. I think that Rosethorn has been a big proponent of it. CLG is blowing teams out of the water in the first 14 minutes, and Rosethorn himself, second highest gold diff at 14 as a jungler, with the stats that we just flew. So a lot of that's been playing around Rosethorn and CLG. They've been great playing with lanes and their priority early. Want to see if they can do that against Golden Guardians.
First place, CLG Academy, eyes on Rosethorn going into this series, which also means eyes on the jungle opponent in Iconic. But I'm hearing that we're ready for pick and ban, guys, so I'm going to pass it back to the two of you to take us away for game one of this best of two.
Appreciate you, Kangas. I did want to flip the conversation quickly over to Iconic, because we had a bunch of clips and we were highlighting Rosethorn a lot because he's just been having such a stellar opening in Academy for the spring. Iconic, and not to take anything away, Golden Guardians have been getting a lot of reps. The consistency is something that we're questioning about this roster, because while they're definitely not a bottom team, they haven't cemented themselves at the top of the standings right now. And it goes back to what you said, Cubby. It is Golden Guardians haven't really found a way to solidify what their team identity is. Who do they want to consistently play to as their primary carries?
It feels like they have a lot of picks. They play well. I think that's kind of how I can sum up Golden Guardians at the moment, but I still think that there are some mistakes that they're making in the mid game that is very common with a lot of the teams that we have in Academy, and I want to see if Golden Guardians can continue to patch that up. Now, some of the comps they do play well in the mid game would be comps built around Caitlyn. Stixay has yet to lose on that pick, 4-0. Others would be a Diana Yasuo. Iconic and Ryoma can play that really well. And then the other would be Ryoma on the Twisted Fate. I think that these have been kind of the three champs they can really consistently build strats around. But in the series against Hunter Next, we saw all three of those strategies banned out as Hunter Next took red side the first two games, banned out the Caitlyn, the Diana, and the Twisted Fate, and Golden Guardians were somewhat looking for answers and failed to get the early leads and snowball them into victories. So that's really what I'm looking to see Golden Guardians can do. They can hang in there in the laning phase with CLG, and if they can utilize that to position themselves better in the mid game, because I think that's where they've really been dropping some of these games.
And I know we dropped out of Champion Select for just a short moment. We'll be getting that graphic back up for you shortly. I assume for now, we'll be talking about kind of what is happening in Champion Select, just to fill you all in, because they're still going. They're not stopping at this moment. Caitlyn has been locked in first for CLG Academy. Golden Guardians answered back with Karma and Ezreal. Very safe lane. It gives Golden Guardians opportunities to play towards the top side of the map, which you know, especially since they're on red side, will open the floor for Tony Top to have that counter pick option available into Dokla, who has been such a dominant laner in our first few weeks of Academy.
Yeah, so Dokla, I will return to this later, but I think it's important to know that Dokla, as a player, has a goal differential at 14 of 1,220. There is no team in the league that has a better goal diff at 14, except for CLG themselves, who are on average, up 2,221 gold at the 14-minute mark. So I think that the way this team has been playing early, a lot of it's been about getting Dokla and Prismal ahead. They've been the big players, and Rosethorn has done a great job of facilitating how to use pressure in those side lanes to make sure that not only he's getting ahead, but his laners are as well.
Can we talk about Ahri now?
Yes. Okay. So we return to the big ban. So first off, I did want to highlight before we talk about the Ahris, I know that you're very excited about that, Rafa. We do have the Nami instead of the Lux, and Nami did see some changes on this patch. We are playing on 12.3. They reduced the amount of on-hit damage you get from the Tidecolor's Blessings, so Nami's E, but the passive, they did change it so you get more move speed. Like a lot more move speed. The base went from 45 to 90. That's pretty significant. Now it decays over the same amount of time. But that initial burst, if you are Prismal's Caitlyn, that's going to give you a lot more move speed to try and weave in more and more of those autos. And want to see if Prismal can do that, because CLG are opting for the Nami over the standard Lux that we're used to seeing.
Golden Guardians have kept things standard so far in their opening draft as well. You know, the Ezreal and Karma, it does differentiate from what might have been a Aphelios Thresh combo, which both were up, but since CLG opted in for the Caitlyn first pick, Golden Guardians wanted a way to be able to match the range at least safely. And so we already noted before, Golden Guardians want to play towards the top side of the map. They have strong facilitation pieces already, and now the first differentiation is this Sylas, more than likely for Ryoma.
This is something that Ryoma has only played once this split, which is a big deal considering the Golden Guardians played in the amateur tournament and the LCS lock-ins, so they have a lot more games under their belt. This is one where Dokla, I would not be surprised. I'm actually not so much against a Graves, as Graves is pretty good into Sylas in the side lane, and also some of the better matchups into Graves have been taken away besides the Tryndamere. Now, I do want to pause to talk about the Volibear, because this is something that Rosethorn was very good at last year in summer, where Golden Guardians, a lot of people forget, they were a bottom 4 team in Academy regular season, but they bounced back. They won, or nearly won, UGP, and then ended up taking a top 3 finish in Proving Grounds, which a lot of people forgot about.
All right, out of curiosity, we're expecting the Tryndamere now to come out instantly as a counter pick to Graves. What's the Volibear Tryndamere matchup like?
Oh, no.
Is that more favorable?
No.
Okay.
No.
I just wanted to see, because CLG have to be aware that this counter pick option is available, and it's pretty miserable for Graves once the Tryndamere gets ahead, right? But I just wanted to see if, like, did they consciously pick this and they're gonna switch it? It's just to pull a fast one on them.
They do, if you don't kill Tryndamere on the 3rd wave under his turret, you lose the rest of the game. So that's
sure.
We don't want to see that matchup. But I am excited to see Rosethorn's Volibear, as it is something that he is very proficient at, and I'm more excited to see this Ahri, which I feel like we kind of skipped over talking about completely. This is 12.3. This is reworked Ahri, so there's no more burst on the charm. There's a lot more base damage added into the rest of her kit. And the most important thing is that Spirit Rush, her ultimate. Now, if you still get the same amount of charges, it lasts for 5 seconds longer. But if you are able to get a reset, it extends the duration, and you also get an additional cast back where you can store up to 3. So you can cast more than 3 ultimates throughout a fight now as Ahri. And that really changes her playstyle. You can play much more aggressively. You can have all the postures in the world that you want. And if you do get that first kill, you can really snowball fights hard.
And I'm seeing a lot of Ahris as we're getting a lot more champion queue matches where Ahri is making a lot of playtime in those games. I'm seeing players opt into a lot of cooldown reduction. So in those team fights, they're playing on the timing window of throwing out the charm with a Spirit Rush, and as soon as they find one reset, they can still be patient and then wait for opportune moments where the enemy has to use some sort of dash move and then that's when you can easily punish. You can secure that skill shot landing onto the player, take out another carry, take out another member that is caught out by the rest. So if there's one way for Triple to be welcomed back into Academy and to kind of make a statement on his return, it's with the champion that just got reworked. Heading into game right now, 30 seconds. Golden Guardians looking for a little bit of a, not necessarily 5-man stacked invade through the bottom side, but they have 3-man group through the bottom lane Tribush and through the alcove. Whereas the other 2 players just checking the river to make sure that they don't get pincered on.
Ahri, definitely a pick that we will continually be checking up on throughout this game. Is of course a lot of changes, Mark, and something that we are curious to see how it works out. Is this is our first look at the new Ahri.
Ahri will be kind of the big focus and the big eye for most of our audiences here, because this is our first competitive Ahri game in Academy overall. I don't know if this is necessarily the first competitive game for Ahri across all of global League of Legends, but another thing for viewers to note, as Cubby is going to have to take a chance to fix some of his audio, Dokla is running Ghost and Exhaust. So, understanding that Tryndamere, not the most fun matchup for the Graves in the top lane. Trying to take extra precautions, not necessarily needing Flash to get out of danger, but just needs the Exhaust to mitigate any early game all-ins from Tony Top. And as long as he is picking those fights before the Undying Rage comes back online, then Dokla has a higher chance of surviving, maybe even turning one around onto Tony Top, as it's just Ghost Flash, standard for Tryndamere, no Exhaust, no Ignite available. It's going to be just me for a little bit, gamers.
No, we're all good.
Oh, yeah, wait, we're back?
Of course. Come on, Rafa.
Okay.
We've been through this a couple times already. I'm not leaving you. I'm not leaving these games. And
please don't leave me, Kobe.
I think early on, important to see. So both junglers sprinting towards the bot side, where Nami, Kate, it's pretty volatile lane, the way that these teams are able to trade this out. And Breezy Prismal really trying to step up and punish Stixxay and Chime early. It's all about sidestepping this poke and making sure that Caitlyn can connect with those auto attacks.
Rosethorn making way through his first full clear. One of the benefits about playing Volibear into the likes of stuff we've seen more standard out of the Xin Zhao and the Jarvan is that Volibear has a really nice clear speed. He has AoE clearing ability thanks to not only his E, but also just his passive, getting the chain lightning throughout the smaller creeps. Allows him to just blaze through these camps. He's going to skip over the Krugs, though, because he wants to be out on the map first on this river. Should be able to get control of the Crab, which will give a little bit of protective vision to Prismal and Breezy, who are looking to be pushing in this matchup as Caitlyn and Nami trying to force Stixxay and Chime under the tower. And then Rosethorn.
Here we go.
Are we going to see... Oh, yep. Baby. Here comes the dive,
we talked about with the 3-4 wave plans. This is the biggest wave for CLG, but Rosethorn still thinking about hitting it.
Chime aggressively stepping forward, getting some poke back down onto Breezy. This does delay the crash a little bit because now they have to clear out this wave before they go for it. And Rosethorn, he will miss out on a timer where he won't be able to pick up a Crab, but Dokla was trying to interrupt Iconic. Looks like Iconic was able to snipe it away. Triple rotating on over. Oh, this is going to be messy. Trap comes out. Stun onto Stixxay, and that's first blood. Easy peasy for CLG, Prismal, and Breezy. I think Cubby has left me once again. It should be momentarily. I really wanted Cubby to celebrate that first blood with me because I was trying really hard, guys. Well, Twitch chat, once again, it is just you and me watching CLG versus Golden Guardians in Game 1 of our second series of the day. So far, nice first blood for CLG Academy to boost up what we should be expecting from this team, as Rosethorn is been making his name as the jungler that will force these early plays. And
this is something else that's interesting about where CLG's at the moment, is the fact that they took no TPs this game, Rafa. This is something that CLG exclusively has been running throughout this season. The fact that they are able to utilize these solo lane sums just to dominate lanes, and the fact that they are able to utilize all this lane priority and run it from there is something that I think is really unique to them. And I want to see if Golden Guardians can punish that, as this is already an advantage bot side for CLG. And instead of looking to force the solo laners out, we still have Iconic maybe trying to save the bot lane here for Golden Guardians.
Was coming through for a potential lane gank, but even if he got through undetected, Prismal and Breezy both had their 2 summoner spells available. Would have been a little difficult. Remember, Dokla still has Ghost and Exhaust. Goes for Ghost. Exhaust will come out. Dokla should be able to get out just fine, but Tony Top slashes his way through, picks up level 6 as well, so even if the turret shot was threatening his life, he always had the Undying Rage to get out.
Nice use of the counter matchup there. All 4 summoner spells being burned, but it comes up Tony Top's way at a couple waves that will now be denied from the Graves. And once Graves gets behind in this matchup, it gets that much more difficult for the Graves to get back.
Oh, Ryoma popping his own Spirit Rush. Triple using his Spirit Rush as well. Oceana mid lane on to Oceana mid lane combat right now as Iconic and Rosethorn also meet each other in the bottom jungle.
And this at least will prevent the dive onto the bot lane of Golden Guardians, but Chime, Stixay are too low that this will result in the first dragon of the game going over to Rosethorn and CLG.
First dragon. CLG's way. Rift Herald will not be spawning for another minute and a half. Curious to see if CLG will be coordinating these next couple waves push for Prismal Breezy to allow Breezy to rotate over to the top side of the map. As you called out before, Tony Top and Dokla have burned both of their summoner spells. So, the unfortunate thing for Dokla is that he doesn't have an ultimate ability that allows him to stay alive at 1 HP for 3 seconds. So Iconic should be won't be hitting level 6 off of these camps quite yet, but there's now a moment where these 2 top laners are volatile and they're somewhat exposed. Rosethorn might be looking to at least pressure the ultimate out of Tony Top.
Won't be the case. I think Rosethorn just continuing the path top to bot and leaving Dokla on that island. At least Dokla now has the ultimate as another tool to escape. And if Tony Top doesn't have the Ghost, there isn't a solo kill threat onto the Graves. So I think if Rosethorn is able to work his way down to the bot side, just keep on attacking this Ezreal and Karma combo and make sure that your Caitlyn's getting points. I think that's the big key for CLG early.
I mean, the CS differential well, I don't want to say shocking, but it is quite large. Almost 23 CS, thanks to the dive attempt that CLG made, setting up Prismals for success. And now CLG have 2 of their members already to this Rift Herald, Tony Top and Iconic trying to respond, pushing them off of it, making sure that CLG are not quite comfortable doing it, but Tony Top coming back once again. This time it is Triple that will be rotating back on over to the mid lane. And as we are in a pause at the moment, we'll be trying to get back into the game ASAP, seeing what is causing technical issues. And thankfully, Cubby, you're not the only one that is experiencing technical issues today. Yeah, it seems like there's just a bug in the internet at the moment.
It could be. ISP has been fun to work with today, but at least in this one, we are seeing both teams try and attack this Rift Herald as we are going to the pause. And this is something that CLG has done very well. Getting Dokla ahead. A lot of this is netting first bricks top. It's been a big part of CLG's game plan. And I think that CLG is the best team at utilizing priority in these side lanes. And I think one big example of that is Dokla with this Graves pick. Something that he has opted for a few times, and something that he is able to get shove. And when you have top lane shove, it opens up opportunities to take Rift Herald. It doesn't always take a full bot lane rotation or a 5v5 around the map. Sometimes just getting shove in that top lane, getting a 2-3 wave crash can be enough to take this Rift. And that's exactly what we're seeing in this play as Dokla was able to get in that wave. Tony Top is now rotating to the Rift Herald, and we're probably going to see a fight breaking out pretty soon around Shelly.
Yeah, big thing to note, though, is that Tony Top hasn't had a chance to really catch up on that wave, so no matter what happens in this Rift Herald, Golden Guardians need to hope that it is somewhat beneficial for them or profitable on their side, because Tony Top is losing out on a lot of resources for this play if he commits. We're not quite into the game yet. A little debated. Maybe the players Still trying to figure out some technical kinks on their side. And we're finally back. 2k HP on the Rift Herald. A lot of minions already dying onto the top side of the map, so Golden Guardians need to make this work. Rosethorn gets the smite down. Iconic will engage onto Dokla, knowing that they don't have summoner spells. He dashes on out, but Tony Top has the undying range. Don't tell me it gets out alive. Dokla, thank God he had the explosive blast plant, and now the rest of the members of CLG have the first rotation.
He gets more.
Both of the bot lane members from CLG came on up to make sure that this Rift Herald play was successful. CLG, Tony Top going down alongside Iconic.
And Triple's using the Spirit Dashes to try and reposition Charm Flash. Ooh. Okay.
But a flash from Rosethorn, knowing that Rosethorn has no way to get out. The stun, unfortunately, times out, but it might be a stun and the ignite from Breezy that takes down Ryoma.
A lot invested to get that kill, but this now will be first brick for CLG if they want to drop Shelly. On the flip side, Stixxay is getting some plates in the bot lane, but CLG far ahead on this play, and their ability to team fight, the ability for Dokla to get out there was huge for CLG in turning that around.
Meanwhile, for Golden Guardians, Stixxay, yes, as you already mentioned before, does get some plates on the receiving end, but it's an overall profit for CLG. And noting, this is what has been making CLG so successful in these opening weeks of the Academy split for this year. They just recognizing how to maximize their advantages on any side of the map. Prismo actually gets interrupted by Chime. He still has Flash. Should not be in real danger, but it is a little bit annoying that he doesn't get a chance to get his reset in sync with Breezy.
Does delay the rotation, and when you take first brick and get it on the Jinx, from here on out, we're going to have to see how Prismo and Breezy are able to rotate around the map and take the rest of these plates. Because this is something you can do with the Caitlyn, and it is a massive early game lead for the side of CLG. Almost 3k gold in their favor, and now they have this giant ability to siege with this marksman they selected for themselves in draft. Already at 4.3k gold on Prismo with the first brick money in his pockets. He's going to be putting this to good use now across the map.
Especially when you have a Caitlyn on your team, you have to play towards this particular marksman, because when it goes to the mid game and a Caitlyn is going even or slightly behind against their fellow marksman opponent, it is such a tough time for Caitlyn to realistically do anything or get a consistent amount of damage in team fights, because compared to others, she doesn't have an attack speed steroid. She's really relying on, being in bushes to maximize the amount of time she's getting headshots in fights. So it's all about the sieging potential and using that 650 range that she has access to. And the fact that CLG are able to play towards it is setting up this Caitlyn to have a strong mid-game presence. CLG now setting up for a dive once again. Iconic is waiting here, has Cataclysm available. CLG have to call out the dive because the teleport is coming in from Ryoma. Rosethorn using the Stormbreaker to disengage. Ryoma has access to Spirit Rush and a bunch of other gap closures just because he is Silas. Can't lock down Breezy. Breezy might be able to get out alive. Ryoma, no more Spirit Rush charges available, but Rosethorn will go down thanks to a mystic shot from Stixxay off the map. And Tony Top has rotated on down, catches out the fish, spears up some sushi for himself. Iconic following down with the Cataclysm and the dunk on the bottom lane. But Prismo will be able to trade one back before he goes down to Ryoma. And just like that, despite the early game advantages from CLG, Golden Guardians are able to turn it around and get something back.
How are they able to turn that around? It looked like a doomsday scenario, but I guess Ryoma being able to help was enough.
Cubby just absolutely flabbergasted by the series of plays that we just saw. But this goes to show that Golden Guardians is this really interesting team that on certain days they won't show up on some of the other competition, but then they'll match some of the higher levels of play right now, as we get to see in this replay. Ryoma just really locking them down.
The ability to split up CLG, all this poke damage connecting. I love Stixxay's positioning over the wall, just waiting, and Tony Top was able to rotate first. We talked so much about CLG playing around their solo lane priority well. That's a great example where Tony was able to use that winning matchup top lane to make a big impact across the rest of the map here.
Second Dragon does go over to Golden Guardians as a reward. Dokla maximizing some farm onto the top side of the map, but Tony Top, he has undying range. He doesn't have Ghost, so he can't necessarily keep track of Dokla and stick on top of him. Dokla has both Ghost and Exhaust, however. Multiple members of Golden Guardians slowly rotating over to the top side, so Dokla has to be careful about overextending. But multiple members of CLG also covering his back, making sure that he's not left alone as he's pushing for these advantages.
CLG have resumed and somewhat recovered, running now with a 1.5k gold lead and trying to make sure that Caitlyn can get more pressure down mid. I think the big issue that CLG is just going to face now is the fact that no one can stop Tryndamere. He is going to be unleashed in the side lanes. Dokla can try and mitigate it, can try and push the creeps and make sure that Tryndamere is spotted, but it's really going to be on CLG to try and find plays around this Tryndamere because Tony Top is gigantic.
Golden Guardian still hanging on, only down 2,000 gold, so this mid-game spike, when we talk about Caitlyn having a great first item spike when played and is snowballed ahead, you have to also look on the flip side that Ezreal, when Essence Reaver and Muramana are finished and fully stacked, that is also a respectable window for a lot of consistent damage as well as great poke to set up for and before objective fights. Golden Guardians still need a little bit more time for that to come online because Stixxay still needs quite a sufficient amount of gold before he can even get the components for Muramana, let alone stack alone this tier.
And CLG, with this Caitlyn and Dokla shoving out this top wave, should at least be able to net this Rift Herald. I think important for them because it might open them up to knocking down this mid-outer.
This would be the second Rift Herald of the game. Golden Guardians can't really check it. Ooh. True Shot Barrage is not going to steal away the objective. CLG will have now the second Rift Herald of the game. As I said before, they need to make great pushes and strides with this. They haven't cracked open the mid-tier 1 turret quite yet. A lot of Golden Guardians members taking this time off of their reset, though, to get vision aggressively in the bottom quadrant of the jungle. Iconic even manages to steal the red buff, which Rosethorn not going to be too happy about, but not the end of the world either. But look at the amount of aggressive vision they are getting during this time.
Was a reset for CLG, and at least for the side of Golden Guardians, they do have win cons as this game goes on. I think that Tryndamere on the side lane is huge. Ezreal can deal really well with Caitlyn and just making sure that Caitlyn's playing at bay and not getting too far up. So I think that as the game moves forward, Golden Guardians are in decent shape. I want to see how hard CLG can push the tempo, though, with this Ahri, because the Frostfire, you have the Everfrost completed, and with the changes to Ahri, if you are able to get that first kill, you can push fights so quickly and pressure the other team to really respond to you as CLG, which, because that bot dive went sour, it's really bought a ton of time for Golden Guardians to just hang out.
This is overall our first look at this champion being brought to the competitive stage, at least in the Academy. Still haven't checked to see if Ahri has made her global debut anywhere else in the world on 12.3.
Does any other place really matter, Rafa? I feel like we could just stick to Academy. It's the first appearance here.
See, I said that about Zeri, and you're like, well, Europe beat us to the punch for the first debut of Zeri. So I'm trying to keep consistent. Whoa, 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 whoa! Prismal almost 100 to 0ing Stixxay, burning both of his summoner spells in heal and flash. Stixxay manages to stay alive, but that was quite a display from the marksman of CLG.
If Prismal was able to keep vision, he would have been able to use that ultimate and maybe get him out as well. But this will lead to a Rift Herald being dropped. Tony's here to hover, but this should be a first brick going over to CLG, or first mid-outer going over to CLG, as they now will see if they can set up for this dragon, because Stixxay is on a reset. Prismal did match as he had a couple items to buy too, and I think importantly, Prismal, yes, that did nat the mid-outer, but now he doesn't have flash, and that is something that Golden Guardians can look to attack.
That was still pretty damn cool, not gonna lie.
Oh, I'm here for it.
Yeah. Unfortunately for CLG, no kill means no huge advantage of being able to prevent Stixxay being on the map to respond to the third dragon of the game. But still, tools like Spirit Rush, Stormbreaker still available, no ace in the hole, but a Tidal Wave is great for splitting up the fight or disengaging or even falling up and disengage. As Rayoma has Stormbreaker himself as he hijacked that away from Rosethorn. He's currently on this flank, but there's vision in that blue buff quadrant, so if he ever dips that back over to that side of the map, CLG still have vision,
flash.
but they've caught him right in the middle. Prismal, you said it, no flash available, and they've just executed the flank beautifully. The solo laners of Golden Guardians just wiping the floor off of CLG. No one gets to live. Everyone in Golden Guardians survives. That's a 5-man ace.
And, it's a big mistake from CLG, but the way that Golden Guardians were able to punish it, and this is some of the steps that I wanted to see them take as a team. Be able to pull that trigger at the right times and do it together. Prismal, you can't walk around that wall. It's a great angle from Ryoma to force him up into that ramp, but the capitalization of it from Iconic, from Tony Top. Prismal taken off the table first, and everyone else just melts off the back of that.
It happened so damn fast that CLG couldn't even react to bodyguard or stuff the engage attempts from Golden Guardians. And with that, the second dragon going over to their favor, as well as shutdown gold, or at least a little bit of extra gold in their pockets. Plays more into the win conditions of what Golden Guardians have. They have this adept split pusher in Tony Top's Tryndamere. Ryoma also can split favorably on the other side as well. And so Golden Guardians, if they maintain this 3-man core, prevent Prismal from making use of his long range to siege down turrets, then CLG will start to run out of steam.
And now Golden Guardians, with this 1.5K gold lead, this is something where I think that they just need to set up the 4-1s. And have Tryndamere in that side lane, get Ryoma to get Shove in the other, and then just hover. I think that's going to be the solution for GG. And it's really tough for CLG to deal with that because a lot of their engage relies upon this Turbo Chem Tank Volibear. And I think that CLG realizes they are in quite the bind, so they're going to just pull Baron and see what happens.
Most of the ultimates from Golden Guardians is still available. Note that there's no flash from Ryoma, no summoner spells from Tony Top, no flash from Iconic as well. They found the Charm of Iconic, but he can still get a Cataclysm down. He goes down. Ryoma, can he clean this one up? He still has Spirit Rush, but can't find any resets off of it. Triple has to flash away. Stixxay threatening his life with Mystic Shots from a mile away. Tony Top also on the flank. They're pincering them right onto this tower. It's a reset coming in from most of these members of CLG. No Baron can be threatened by Golden Guardians since their jungler's down, but still, CLG not finding as much as advantage as they would have liked.
So CLG, when they're a team that in Academy, when they get behind, they will play around Baron very aggressively. And it's something I really respect out of CLG because this is a game where we have mentioned we aren't thrilled with the scaling. They lose side hard and harder as the game goes on. They're dealing with an Ezreal that's up 2 levels on their Caitlyn. And so I think trying to go for these plays, it's one where we expect CLG to get somewhat bled out by Golden Guardians now as this game moves on. They weren't able to convert on their early leads as cleanly as we've seen CLG do throughout the season as they're still at the top of our standings. And I respect them fully sending it and trying to get a Hail Mary play back. This is something that we saw them do against Immortals, which netted them a win in that crazy game where Pretty got the pentakill on Kassadin. They Hail Married Baron as a 2-man at Summit worked out. And now here we go. Stixxay.
This is a Hail Mary attempt, and you have 2 flanks from 2 different sides. Stixxay couldn't escape out of the second one, even though he made his way away from Triple's Ahri. That's a play that you got to pull as CLG Academy because you're running out of options. The time window is starting to shorten, but this is great. CLG now have a numbers advantage, pressing up for this siege into the second tier turret. But Ryoma potentially on a flank. Still has hijack available. Could either grab the Stormbreaker or a Tidal Wave if he wants to break up the fight. But this turret will go down to CLG.
Good play, good angle coming out from both Rosethorn and Triple. I know that from speaking with CLG, Triple, of course, landed, is playing. That's all great and dandy. They've only had 1 day of scrims with Triple. So seeing some of that coordination, that's kind of surprising, but also nice to see. As Triple, of course, someone we're really excited to get back in the Academy League. I thought that Triple had his best split of League of Legends I've seen in the summer of Academy, as someone that's traditionally been known as a mage player all of a sudden had like 75% win rates on both Nocturne and Renekton. Like out of nowhere was really good at playing out this champions mid. So good to see Triple returning to our league. And now Breezy.
Whoa.
Look at that bear.
Stixxay, and he gets to use Stormbreaker over the wall. No flash available for the AD carry of Golden Guardians. He just gets the flash over to disengage the fight. Now Ryoma's on the run as he has the Spirit Rush away from the Spirit Rushing triple. CLG Academy just constantly finding pick after pick, pushing the tempo as much as they can. They recognize the bind that they are in, and they are not letting go of the gas.
When I said that Nami got changes to her passive and its increased move speed, I was kind of assuming it was going to be used on the Caitlyn. Not on the bear. That's a fast bear, as Rosethorn, sprinting on all fours, was able to chase down Golden Guardians, and this is another situation where CLG, they're able to find a pick. Tryndamere is showing on sides when they're going for this, and once they see Tryndamere, they are pressing the go button. And in a comp where you would look at the 5 champions and say, you know what? I think CLG has some issues finding engages. They're not having any problems isolating members from Golden Guardians and taking them down.
Now, we talk about Rosethorn. If he doesn't have movement speed, then, you know, his engages and his windows for finding picks is limited. And so, thankfully, Breezy is able to provide him enough agency to make those happen. But something... I didn't think about this interaction with Nami and Ahri before, but with Tide's Collar's Blessing, anytime it's applied onto a champion and the next spell or auto attack applies a slow, you give it to Ahri, she Spirit Rushes in, and the damage from the Spirit Rush already applies the slow, which allows you to easily chain into Everfrost active into Guaranteed Charm afterwards, or at least you can play off of burning certain mobility spells or even Flash as well. That's such a deadly pick combo that we're now starting to see fully realized by the CLG squad.
Learning more about Ahri as we go, and I think that why they opted for this Nami starting to add up. I know it's a better lane matchup into the Karma than the Lux, just because you have healing in the shields, which always nice for the laning phase. But now we're seeing some of the benefits of that as the game goes on, which is nice. And speaking of this, CLG continuing to try and push the pace. They have started the Baron once again.
Iconic getting over the wall where there is a bunch of traps preventing him from approaching. Same thing, Ryoma taking a similar method as well from dodging out on those traps.
I like this from Ryoma. I think GG might get mid tower off of this. Is good side stuff from Breezy, but Ryoma's still looking.
Now, Prismal and Breezy, while numbers advantage, it's quite swishy and don't want to get bursted out by the mid laner Golden Guardians. Prismal going forward with the Gale Force because they have Rosethorn, and this tidal wave could be huge. It splits up Iconic from the rest of his team. Tony Top tries to ghost in, but he can't pull off the flank in time to save his jungler from going down. Now Triple on the run. Catches Charm. Ace in the hole. Not going to be enough damage, but Ryoma now has to be careful about fighting another fight, and no jungler available from Golden Guardians. So CLG, they can pull the trigger on the Baron.
Iconic, he tried to flash over the wall. I don't think he was able to make it, as he ended up getting CC taken down. And as you called out properly, Rafa, there is no smite available for Golden Guardians, so CLG will proc this Baron once again.
Tony Top still has Undying Rage available, but he just burned Ghost, so he doesn't have the movement speed to really stick on to targets once he isolates and separates them from the rest of the pack. CLG have to stick together. 4k HP. Ryoma has Stormbreaker available. He's going to go right down for the dog. They found Triple. Golden Guardians, they have to play off of 6. They have to play off of Ryoma and Tony Top. They already lost out on Chime, but the damage dealers are coming in huge. 6-day. Arcane shifting forward aggressively, gets taken out by Rosethorn, and now the kiting back from CLG is starting to favor them a little bit, but Breezy, he's now separated from Ryoma. Flashes away in time before Ryoma connects with the Obscon Abduct.
Tony Top is so fed this game, and Ryoma still looking to see if he can find anyone as one base connects. This one does not.
Oh, he finds a face full of Dokla. Bauble from Breezy. Oh, he still takes him out. Wait, the Kingslayer for the healing. Breezy. Oh my god, Ryoma survives the 1v2, and the minions can't even take him down.
We were talking about how good Triple was that split. What about how good Ryoma has been this split as he continues to put together some of the best league we've seen out of him? As the second look from the replay, Triple went for the aggressive flash charm play, but 6A sidesteps it, and from here, things get sour for CLG. It's honestly, I was surprised the fact that Rosethorn was able to pick up a kill on the back half, but Ryoma, him finding those 2 kills late, that's opened up a window for GG to have a 3v5 on the map, and now Rosethorn is caught past the flash and is now running for the hills.
Tony Top, also on the aggressive, has Undying Rage available. He's just zoning off Prismal, so Rosethorn, now separated from his damage dealer, cannot survive this one. And Ryoma also on the flank. They've caught out 2 crucial members. Triple was also picked up somewhere. I think Ryoma just sold him out on the left side of the map. And now Golden Guardians, they have the numbers advantage. This Baron is surely theirs.
Ryoma has just straight up hero moded this game for Golden Guardians. The CLG, it was pick after pick in the mid lane. They were opening up windows where they could try and snowball this one, starting with the Baron, trying to pull around Golden Guardians, and Ryoma just says enough. The Stylus finds 2 kills on the back half, finds the solo kill on triple, shuts down Prismal, and now Baron is in the hands of Golden Guardians.
If you are CLG Academy, you are in panic mode because the scaling in the side lanes in Ryoma and Tony Top is starting to outmatch those of Triple and Dokla. We already talked about how disastrous this Tryndamere matchup can be for Dokla. It is so bad that Dokla is forced to burn by a Randuin's Omen as his second item just to mitigate the amount of damage that Tony Top is getting on to this marksman. But if you're building a Randuin's Omen as a marksman that's supposed to be doing damage, then you are really limited on the overall damage output that CLG is putting out. You're relying on Prismal and Triple to be the brunt and just full-on responsibility of being able to deal with Golden Guardians, and I don't know if it's going to be enough. Golden Guardians, really huge turnaround in the mid-game off of that really punish on the dive attempt that CLG Academy tried to make on the bottom side of the map. Now with this Baron in their hands, they are pushing through the bottom wave, making efforts to take down the inhibitor turret. It won't be an inhibitor quite yet, but the base will now fully be opened on CLG.
CLG looking for an angle, but Rosethorn might be caught.
He doesn't have flash. He has to use Stormbreaker defensively, but it's still not going to be enough. He goes down. Ryoma, he's looking to put the pain down on the rest of the members of CLG Academy. He flashes aggressively forward. One more Kingslayer should give him enough healing. Yap's gonna duck, connects. He doesn't drop any of his Magi stacks. He still has all 25, and he's taking it straight with him to the bank, and he's also taking this fat dub in the bank.
Ryoma, what a carry performance from him, as this game, it was in GG's hands. CLG were just nitpicking members. A pick after one and another, trying to find the angles mid. Ryoma is the one that turns everything on its head. He steps up, he makes it happen, and I know that Ryoma, we started Academy off saying, I was the best split in Academy last split. I want to be the best mid laner in Academy again on this new team. And every single time Ryoma puts up games like that, we believe that he is the best mid again.
When Ryoma has those games, it completely reminds us of moments like the game-winning Orianna Shockwave in Summer Proving Grounds on 100 Thieves Academy against Team Liquid Academy. And it supports why we were so hyped on Ryoma at the beginning of the split. Now, unfortunately for Golden Guardians Academy, their results and their consistency hasn't been up to what we had expectations for, despite having multiple reps across Amateur, Lock-In, and Academy all combined. But games like those are defining for Ryoma and the rest of this squad to show that they can contend for the top of the standings. When we come back from this break, we'll be returned once again by our awesome host Kangas and resuming the second half of the series between CLG Academy and Golden Guardians Academy. So stick around.